All right, so greetings everyone. So this is another session of data validation. Today we'll be looking at restricting inputs in Excel. Restricting input allows you to control the type or range of values entered, preventing invalid or inconsistent data entries. All right, so let's look at restricting numbers. If you want to restrict numbers in Excel, let's say, for example, you want an age range and you want to restrict what users can actually enter. Let's do some exercises to actually showcase how this works. All right, so I'm going to grab this table and I'm going to drop that on Excel so that we'll see how to restrict values. So I can go to the range I want to add data validation for, and next thing will be to click on data validation. This is data validation icon. When you click on it, you select whole numbers. All right, I can use the between. I can say minimum is 0 and maximum is 120. We're believing that the highest age we can get is 120 and the minimum is 0, and I'll click OK. So after applying these, you can see that when I try to enter 130 on this cell, it's going to flag that and tell us to actually impute the valid age range. But if we enter, like, let's say 100, that's going to fly. If I try to enter -1, it's going to flag it because no one is going to be less than 1 year. All right, like -1 year, that's what I mean to say. All right, so another thing we also try to work on is let's try to restrict scores. Of course, know that score should fall between 0 to 100. And if we want to restrict score, let's grab this table and drop here on Excel. And so we are going to modify this so that it looks at only values between 0 to 100. All right, so I'll go to data validation once more. I can use decimal for this, under decimal, and the minimum is 0. The maximum we're accepting is 100. So if any value outside this is entered, it's going to flag those entries. If I try to enter like 200 here, it's not going to accept 200. But if I try to enter 100, it's going to accept it. If I do 90, it's going to accept it. All right, so that's that for that. All right, so the other task we're going to look at is preventing to restrict future dates. All right, so we're going to grab this. All right, so we are setting we're trying to, let's say we're trying to set a meeting. All right, so we're going to want to restrict dates this time. All right, so I'm going to drop these on Excel. I'll go to allow only dates greater than today. All right, so I'm going to go to dates. Let me expand this under data validation. Okay, under data validation, this time around they're working with dates. Okay, I'm going to select date. I'm going to say greater than, I can do equal to today. All right, so on dates greater than today is going to be accepted. Okay, so if I try to, let's say if I try to enter 01 2026, it's going to flag that because it doesn't match data validation. So we said it should be at least greater than today, and today's date, let's say today today is 27th, all right, or 28th. All right, so if I try to enter let's say 2807 or 06 2026, for example, that still didn't fly. All right, so we said it has to be greater than today. That's the remember we chose greater than, not greater than or equal to. So if I change this to 29, it's going to actually fly. So here we are saying that the date we want to have here, let's say we are setting dates for a meeting, that the date should be greater than the current date, that's greater than today. All right, so that's what we just told Excel to actually execute for us. All right, so another thing we're going to look at is to restrict text. All right, text length. All right, so here the task is to ensure that the employee ID is at least 5 characters. Okay, so I can just grab this particular employee ID table. I'm going to drop it in Excel. So want to update this field so that it only accepts text 5 characters. All right, so we can just do this by going to data validation once more. We're going to go to text length. All right, we're going to say the minimum we're accepting is 5. All right, we can also set the maximum to be 5. All right, so here it ensures that only text that are 5 characters are going to be accepted. All right, so if I try to enter 1 here, it's gonna flag that. All right, but if I do 1 2 3 4 5, it's gonna accept it because we want the length of the text here to be 5 and just 5. All right, that's what had the minimum 5 and the maximum is also 5. All right, so the next validation we also want to look at to also understand how it works is adding an input message. All right, so you're gonna just have to copy this. All right, you can just grab this. So you here want to say that enter a score that is between 0 to 100, so that users can actually understand the actual thing we want them to look at. All right, so let's modify this cell so it looks at it shows an input message. Okay, here we can put input message. We can say scores. All right, you can say the message is enter score between 0 to 100. All right, so what this does is when a user comes to this cell, he or she sees what is expected, so that it actually prevents the back and forth of having validation errors and then coming back to do the right update. So with this kind of input message, straight up you actually understand the kind of updates you're expected to do on those specific cells. All right, so also error alerts. One thing I know I always talk about, I've talked about this before, is when you're trying to make an update, also ensure that the error message is specific. All right, so that it's not confusing to the users. All right, so I can just try to put this particular score cell. Let me try to modify it again. Let me try to put an error. Let me say invalid score. This is the message that will appear when someone enters something invalid. Enter score between 0 to 100. So this kind of actually tells the user, okay, this is the error that you had, so this is the correction you are expected to actually make. All right, so when I go to my settings, I'll just do my decimal between 0 to 100. So when someone makes a wrong entry, there's an error message telling you, okay, see, this is the mistake you made, and we expect you to actually make this correction. So if I come here and enter something like 120, we know that 120 is above 100, so we're going to see error that says invalid. Enter score between 0 to 100. You can see that this is more specific and kind of guides the user more to actually make the correct update. All right. So I think that's that for we have a real life data entry form here. So we can just come and try to apply these conditions. You can grab this and paste on Excel and apply these conditions to actually understand and be convinced that you've actually learned what you've taught so far. Just on your own, you can actually practice this and see how that works for you. All right, so have some practice exercises. Salary range, you can make a range between 30,000 to 500,000. And when the user tries to enter something outside this range, it kind of flags that. All right, you can also make username max of 8 characters. We've talked about this. Project deadline, allow only future dates. You understand? These are things you can actually do in Excel to ensure that you accept the right data that you want to accept. All right, so one of the tips here is always apply restrictions when designing forms, collecting your user input. Use number rules for calculations, date rules for timelines, and text rules for IDs, or maybe other things you want to use them for. Add input messages to guide users. Add error alerts to prevent mistakes. Test your rules after setting them to ensure that they work properly. So after this, we expect that you've learned how to restrict numbers, dates, and text input. Apply real-world data validation rules. Use input messages and error alerts. Prevent incorrect data entries. Build structured and reliable Excel systems independently. So we want to believe that you learned this and you know how to navigate your way around Excel while applying data validation. All right, thank you. Cheers.